Hey, LB, thanks for coming. I'm going to say it. I said it once before. I'm going to say it again. 2020 is turning into the year where everybody's talking about mental health. So, like I said, like in my description, and like I said on Twitter, I just want to say I am in no shape, way, or form trying to attack Sweet Anita or dismiss what she has talked about in this very personal video of hers. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I rather commend her for posting this video. I know she mentioned that not only in the video but on Twitter, she was reluctant about talking about it, and I don't blame her. It's a hard thing to talk about with depression or any kind of mental health illness that you suffer through. Um, uh, the only things I want to kind of talk about mostly with it, aside from doing the usual, watch, pause, and comment on certain things here and there, is the title of her video is How I Cured My Depression. And I'm using cured in quotation marks because as someone that has major depressive disorder and chronic seasonal depression, uh, among many, many other things that I just don't need to go into. And I'm going to make my stance clear. You cannot cure mental health illnesses. You cannot cure mental health disorders. What you can do is learn how to cope when you're having problems. You can retrain your brain through intense therapy, um, to have a different perspective on life. And quite often that is enough for some people. Uh, Others, it's not. And I understand the concept of her title, though, saying that she, in her thoughts, in her mind, she has cured her depression. But as an influencer, as someone who is an influencer, that's where my problem comes in at with her using it in the video title. Because some people, such as myself, who deal with depression on a daily basis and have been depression for me is basically my it's my constant companion through life. It is a daily battle that I go through every day. Uh, so, yes, I am happy for her that she is at a part. She has reached a point in her life where she can say she no longer has that battle. But other people who read that title of how she cured her depression, it can be taken wrong. Uh, it wasn't cured. She just found she just retrained her brain with her therapist to think differently. Anyway, she brought up a lot of stuff. She talked about a lot of stuff in her video that I loved that she talked about. And that's why I wanted to do a reaction and discussion video about it mostly, is because I want to talk about these things that she mentioned in her video. So we will go ahead and bring it up to the foreground here. And I got it full screen, so we're good. So here we go.
Do you have chronic depression? No, but I did for 13 years and I got out the other end of it.
Can
I
you
still
hear
need
it?
to do a video on how I got out of depression. I think that would probably be a little bit helpful. I definitely used a lot of strategies that I don't really widely see. I want to make the content that I would have benefited from when I was really struggling. People in the stream keep asking me how I got over my depression, and I wanted to put all of that information in one place. I wanted to be able to make something that helped so many people who were in the position I was not long ago.
She is such a sweetheart. I love her
I
intro
was depressed for
videos.
13 years. It was hard. I couldn't justify myself. I couldn't justify my own existence. I felt depressed and I didn't have many excuses. Well, I didn't have many excuses to live. I faced homelessness. I faced a lot of unsafe situations growing up. As a child, I faced a lot of isolation. My mum became tremendously sick. At times, she was in bed for months, and in that time, there was no one to take care of me. I burned my food if I had access to any at all, and there were days and weeks where I starved. There were unsafe people who came into my life and punished me for having tics, and I couldn't stop them, and it made the tics worse. And they were just bullies, giant bullies, who made my life hell all the time, unpredictably. Because I was always.
Okay. Right off of that, I want to go ahead and I want to talk about something else. When it comes to depression or any mental illness, there are three things to keep in mind. One, biological. Two, situational. And three, environmental. Biological is why people mostly are on medication. There is something biologically, chemically wrong, and that's why they have a hard time with depression. I am on medication. I take Prestige, and I love it. It's been working great for me. Uh, but aside from the chemical part, biological chemical part, then it comes to number two, where you have situational. And situational means it changes and varies based on the situations that you're in. Uh, that's why when you get yourself out of a situation, you can feel better. But when you're stuck in a situation and you can't get yourself out of it for whatever reason, there's a reason why you can't get out of it. Uh, that's where uh, the biological and situational kind of blur together, also. And then you have environmental. And environmental can be similar to situational because it involves your surroundings, but environmental usually is like what Anita was describing in her video, your home life, school life, dealing with your friends or not having friends, uh, not having supportive parental units there for you when you need them, uh, having other problems, be it neurological or developmental or other mental problems, such as autism, for example. You can that's a that's something that can cause people to have depression because of battling the effects that autism can have. Tourette's, like she was talking about with her tics and nobody understanding her, and people being bullies to her because of her tics. That's another thing that can that obviously was a big source of her depression. So yeah, she basically just went through all three of those, at least two out of the three. I don't want to say biological because all three of them, depending on the severity of them, do require to be on medication. I mean, for all I know, she was able to retrain her brain, and she feels that she's cured her depression. So she may not need to be put on medication anymore. But there are some of us, myself, for example, that may be on depression for the antidepressant medicine for the rest of their life because the chemicals just they're there. They're just, well, they're not. the chemical imbalance is always going to be there. So, all right, moving on. That is such a cute picture. Oh my goodness, look at the kitty cat. She is so cute. Okay.
Seen as an abnormal child, I attracted people who knew I lacked credibility. And that left me vulnerable to the kinds of violence a child should never experience. And throughout all of that, no child is ever going to navigate that perfectly. I had no emotional outlet or coping mechanisms, no one to show me how to acknowledge what was happening or deal with it. And this left me self harming from the age of about 8 or 9. And so when other things started happening in my life, I didn't have any help. I didn't have anyone to turn to. I thought everyone was going to think I was an attention seeker whenever I had a tick because I didn't have a diagnosis. So, huh.
What she is talking about here is that she did not have any coping skills. She didn't know how to handle situations as they came to her. She didn't have anybody uh, to teach her these things. She didn't have anybody to validate the way she felt. As she said, she people thought that she was just an attention seeker, and I've been there. Um, when I was going through, when my whole entire basically world collapsed, when I want to say I was 13. Yeah, I was 13, so it was in like 1999. Uh, I had nobody, and everybody in the family was just saying I was doing it for attention. And it's like, well, in a way, yes, you are, because but you're not doing it for the attention that they think. You're doing it for the attention that you need, and you're reacting, and you're trying to get it the only way you know how. And unfortunately, that can be a bad thing. And unfortunately, a lot of times those are bad. Um, but yeah, I mean, to be called an attention seeker, in a way, yeah, you are, but not in the way that other people think. You're trying to bring attention to your situation, to how you're feeling, and you're frustrated because you can't get anybody to understand, or nobody will take you serious. So uh, let's go.
I just stayed away from people and didn't really know anyone. I ended up just living with me and my mom. It was just me and my mom after a while. Nothing changed. I felt like I was reliving the same agonizingly boring, lonely day over and over. And it was hell. I thought being able to see people walk past my bedroom window was socializing. I talked to myself just to hear another voice. I felt like I'm a piece of trash and I shouldn't exist, and I can't justify all the suffering and pollution I create just to be here. Like, why am I here? Why should all that shit happen just so that I can suffer? Like, that was genuinely my opinion of myself. And that was the position I was in for 13 long years. And I hated it. I got to a point one day where I was like, I'm so tired of being ashamed of myself because of my condition. I'm so tired of being afraid of people. So I sat back and I imagined what I wanted my life to be. And I wanted friends. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to see things that are new. I wanted to get outside the house. I wanted to have a job. I wanted to have financial security. And I wanted to be a reason why people smiled. Huh. So I started doing what I loved. And I loved working with animals. And there I found loads of people I had a lot in common with.
I just realized I had myself on mute when I was talking. I am so sorry. So let me repeat what I said. What she was saying before is that it sounded like she was describing situational and environmental as being the causes of her depression. And what she decided to do is that she made the choice. And that's one thing that they drive home to you in therapy, is that you always have the choice. She decided that she was going to uh, improve. She was going to change. And that's great. That's exactly the kind of attitude you need. You need to do the work. And uh, she wanted to change the situation. She wanted to change the environment around her. That's exactly what they tell you to do in therapy, is that that's what you need to try to do if you can. And if you can't, you try to change it even in small ways, however you can. Uh, if you've seen my video about seasonal depression, I mentioned changing your surroundings up, like getting scented candles, for example. Uh, any small thing helps. If you feel like the room you're in is too dark, add more lights. If you feel, tight all the time, or you need to get out or something, I can't really describe it any other way, then go get out, sit outside, take a deep breath of the fresh air, listen to your surroundings, listen to the animals that play around, listen to the birds that are tweeting around, stretch, you know, put your arms over your head, do jumping, maybe not jumping jacks, depends on how physical you want to get with it, but just those are the kind of changes, subtle, just small changes like that can make your day go a whole lot better than how it started out. So, all right, I'll mute myself and keep going.
With. There, I found a lot of people who loved being kind. There, I found a lot of people I really connected with. That's how I ended up doing animal work and rescue work. That's how I ended up working with homeless charities. My journey has taken me through many stages of helping others and learning from those people along the way. And I can't tell you how valuable that's been and how many beautiful experiences it brought into my life. Just by being passionate about changing those things, I got out into the world and did crazy stuff that made me really uncomfortable and nervous. The first step was imagining the life I wanted to build and then starting to dare to get out of my comfort zone to build that life. And I hated it, and I was still depressed, and I was still scared. I had intense anxiety, panic attacks, I had tics, I didn't have a diagnosis, and I couldn't explain myself. So it was hard.
Another thing I keep talking about with everybody is that when you're dealing with the struggle of depression and you're wanting to get better, it takes a lot of work. Everything will get worse before it gets better. And it can vary. You can go through it constantly. Uh, you find yourself out of one situation and then something else happens. And then you have to deal with that situation differently than how you felt than you dealt with the original. So it's going to be a constant struggle with different situations. And the usefulness of having therapy is that it can teach you how to at least cope with those different situations that may come up differently and retrain your brain to not go into an instant panic mode. Yeah, because instant panic mode is bad. um, I also want to make a note here too. Actually, no, I'm going to save this one for further in, because her talking about how she felt good taking care of animals and being and getting out and talking to other people and enjoying herself, even though she was still having the battles of severe anxiety, panic attacks, and her tics getting worse, but she kept charging on through. Uh, I do have something I want to add to that, but I'm going to wait until it gets to a certain point, because there is something else that she says in there that will uh, make it, it'll make more sense when I do it there. So here we go.
And I stuck at it because I was like, anything is better than that cage. I got more confident. I learned from new people I never would have met otherwise. And I met the best kind of people because they're altruistic and they want to do beautiful things. Those kind of people always have awesome things to teach you. I think one of the things I haven't touched on before, really, about the whole depression thing and how I got out of it is that there's a huge thing, like, there's a lot to be said for altruism. Like, altruism is, I think, a really healing aspect of our behavior. It's good for the world, but it's also really good for you. If you feel like a mistake, if you feel like maybe you shouldn't exist, nothing can really like give you a sense of purpose and gratefulness to be alive than seeing someone else get to live because of you, or seeing someone else get to smile because of you. I think a lot of people have notoriously used kindness and love as a way to cope with depression. What's his name? That was a really famous actor, Robin Williams. He was talking about how sometimes people who know what it is to suffer love making people smile, and really become heavily.
And here it is. I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless and they don't want anyone else to feel like that. I 100% agree, but there's a catch. People who have depression are oftentimes looking for something else to make them happy. They can't find it within themselves, so they go on a search for it and they're constantly filling up this void that they feel. This can result in hoarding, for example. Uh, you like to take care of animals. Well, what about taking care of yourself? Uh, and instead of taking care of yourself, you're trying to fill that void inside of you by collecting animals. Uh, Maybe you have like 1,000 cats or too many dogs or just too many animals that any one human can possibly take care of. And one thing that helped me. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard of that. Thank you. Uh, but like I was saying, if you feel like you have that void and you're constantly filling it in with things, the void is there for a reason, and you need to figure that reason out. You don't need. You can keep constantly filling it. It's like a freaking black hole. Nothing is going to fill it up for you. And if it does, it only lasts for about maybe 5 seconds. Um, and another thing is when it comes to trying your hardest to make people happy, make sure you're not sacrificing yourself when you're doing that, because that's when it goes from being good and uh, that's when it goes from being good to bad. One of my problems is that I am more than happy to talk to anybody about whatever problem they have. And the reason why is because if, say, like I have a problem, I use their problem to distract me from mine. I go, oh, this person needs help. I need to talk to them. I need to help them. I can set this aside and deal with it later. But I don't ever really deal with it. I just set it aside, you know? So that's the other thing you have to look at when you talk about, trying to make other people happy. Are you doing it because it helps you? Because are you doing it because you like to do it, or are you doing it because it's distracting you from the problem, or it's distracting you from a problem that you need to be taken care of? Uh, so yeah, here we go. Shutting up.
Deeply invested in seeing others be happy. Um, and that's so true. I mean, I don't want to misquote him, but you should totally look up some of the things he said about it. And you can really tell that it helped bring him really far. So I found my friend group finally. I found the people I could connect with, and I started learning social skills on a deeper level because I stopped fixating on what was different and started fixating on what was, what we connected over. But finally, the last step was I found this therapist. She changed my life. I had like 4 therapists. It was only the fourth one. I'd lost hope at the third because the first 3 I had were abysmally bad.
I can so relate to that. I have had so many therapists throughout my life, so many psychologists, so many medication managers. I've been on so many different kinds of medications trying to help level out the chemicals going on and they usually were worse instead of good, better. And the important thing is that you don't give up. You are always you're you know even if it's on your 10th time and things are still not going right, do not give up. There is going to be a therapist out there that will be exactly what you need. The problem is that with a therapist, the one thing you have to keep in mind, a therapist is not supposed to tell you what you want to hear. They are supposed to work with you with what you don't want to work with. So if you're not willing to change for yourself, then therapist is not going to help you. No medication in the world will help you because you have to be willing to change for yourself before adding the medication to it, because the medication only handles a fraction, like not even a third, a very small fraction. The rest of it is all you.
But I finally found one that helped me, and it was quite a long time before that happened. She did several things, and one of them was I said, well, this is my life story. I went through this and this and this, and this is why my life sucks, and I'm sad and I'm scared. And she went, yeah. But what went right today? And I was like, no, my life is hell. And she was like, yeah, but something was good. I was like, no, nothing's good. I don't even know why I exist. Life is pain. And she was like, okay, did you have a chocolate bar? Did you see the sea? How was the walk here? What was the weather like? Did you see anything pretty? And I was like, yeah, I saw this really cool caterpillar and I walked by the sea and I did actually eat something really nice today. And she's like, fine, great. You actually remembered something good about your life today. It's
And this is where I'm talking about retraining your brain. One of the things that's a problem with depression is that we are constantly in a state of negativity, negative mindset. Uh, One of the things I always try to remember is to always celebrate the small things. Did you get up out of bed? Celebrate that. Did you get yourself dressed? Celebrate that. Did you make it into a shower or a bath? Celebrate that. Congratulate yourself from that. The more you do that, the easier it will be to pull yourself out of the deep funk. You know, the more you take the time to enjoy the small things, the easier it will be to deal with the bigger and the ones that you don't want to deal with. It'll give you the confidence to face uh, the issues that you don't want to face. Hi, Senate. That's what her therapist did was great. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, other people, when she's talking about, oh, well, I feel sad about this, I feel sad about that, and her therapist seemed to just dismiss it. You know, a lot of people get upset about that, would be offended by that, would be like, you're invalidating me. No, not at all. They are trying to help you open your mind and be like, there is, more to life than what is making you, than what you're constantly focusing on. Is life going to be bad? Yes. Is life going to be easy? No. So, and you already know that. You don't need a therapist to remind you of that. What you need is a therapist to help you search for the good. You know, like she was talking about, did you have a piece of chocolate? Did you take a walk? Things like that. And then she remembered the caterpillar, and that she had went for a walk by I think she said the sea. You know, think about those moments and hold on to them instead of focusing on the bad moments. You know, and it's not going to improve your life right away. It takes a lot of work. Uh, and I mean a lot of work, because you will have some days where you feel like all the negative stuff is just piling up on you one at a time and you can't catch a break. But allow yourself to take a break, have a piece of chocolate, listen to a song that you like. Um, you know, again, a scented candle, like I was mentioning at the beginning, light one up and enjoy the smell. Do something for yourself that you like to give yourself that break. But, and here's the key word, but you always have to go back. You can't ignore the negative. All that you can do is give yourself a break from it so that way you can face it with a more clearer mind. And that's one of the things that I'm always struggling with is I'll start doing something to give myself a break from the negative, but it'll end up taking over and it'll go from being a healthy distraction to a bad distraction. You know, uh, that's something that we learned in my therapy group, dialectical behavioral, DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, uh, is to know when a coping mechanism is becoming more of a distraction than a useful. So, uh, yeah, you want to be careful of that. Hey, Moira. All right, shutting up again.
It's there in your life, you're just not seeing it. I was like, holy fuck. So I wrote down every single day in my planner something that was cool about the day. This was the pivotal way that she helped me to love my life. So she said, every time you have a tasty piece of chocolate, I want you to keep the wrapper in there. Every time you go somewhere cool, I want you to put the train ticket in there. Every time something goes well, I want you to write a note and put it in there. And every time you're really feeling low and you don't want to live anymore, I want you to open that box and see all the reasons why life is worth living and all the things that did go right. I think one of the key things that I was learning that was keeping me depressed was that depression lies to you. It's like this little gremlin in the corner of the mind that sits there watching everything you're experiencing and tells you bullshit about it. It's a self-feeding monster.
Can I just say I love how she says that depression lies to you. Oh dear God, she hit the nail on the mark. Depression, anxiety, uh, all of that. Your emotions, when you lose control of your emotions because you don't understand them, they will lie to you. That's one of the things that kills me with my emotions, and that's why a lot of people, such as myself, people with I wasn't going to go into this, but I have borderline personality disorder. We don't like emotions because we don't understand them, and it has taken me so many years of therapy to get to a point where I can actually start to identify what I'm actually feeling underneath another emotion. Like one day I'll be like, I could be feeling depressed and I'm crying, but I could honestly say to someone, I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm angry. And that is like a whole other opening door right there. The fact that I can acknowledge I am angry and I know why I'm angry. My next step from here is learning how to uh, better not control it, but cope with it. Because I'm starting to get to where I can understand what my underlying emotions are beneath my depression, beneath my anxiety. But, because one thing about depression and anxiety is that they are just, what's the word I'm thinking of? They're umbrella terms. Depression and anxiety are umbrella terms. Because whenever you look at your depression and you go back and you dig into why are you feeling depressed, all these other emotions come up. You can be angry, you can be sad, you could be afraid, uh, you could be in love and have and feel depressed about it. Uh, so yeah, your emotions are out there to fuck you up. more or less. I was told I have borderline personality disorder with narcissistic traits back in 2004. Yeah, that's the other thing. It is not bad to have these diagnoses. A person who's a narcissist doesn't mean they have to that they're a bad person. Uh, a person who is oh, what's the other one? A sociopath does not make them a bad person. A psychopath does not make them a bad person. What makes them a bad person is how they're acting, how they treat others, how they treat themselves, uh, what they do, what their actions are is what makes them a bad person, not the diagnosis itself. And that's where the mental health stigma comes in at. Uh, People think, I mentioned borderline personality to people, and uh, I remember when I first got the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. I was 16, and I did the mistake of Googling it and learned that 98% of people diagnosed with borderline personality disorder often just kill themselves. They never get better. And um, I ended up going to the hospital and being admitted for it because I tried to. I felt like my fate was. I felt that my fate was. Uh, I felt that my fate had already been decided for me, and I was just going to hurry it along instead of trying to suffer later. You know, but so yeah, I was admitted for that for about a week. Um, but I am still here, so it's not as bad as what people think. Here we go. I'm shutting up again. It's the bad stuff you choose to do that defines you as a bad person. Yes, thank you. Senate, one of the things that I've learned in my years and years and years of battling this stuff since I was 13, I am my own worst enemy. Uh, and in a way, that can be a good thing, and in a way, it can be a bad thing. The way that it's a good thing, at least in my opinion, is that there is very little that anybody can say to me as an insult that won't make me just laugh at them. You know, because chances are I've already thought it myself. Senate, I suggest you check out my video on imposter syndrome because that might help you out a little bit in understanding what's going on and how that little voice in your head gets there. And your dad is right because I say the same thing. All right, I'm going to shut up now and keep going.
It will weigh you down when you're in bed and stop you from getting up and being able to get on with things, and then persecute you for not having done them. And it's the kind of gremlin that will stand there behind you when you're looking in the mirror and say, "You're too fat, you're ugly, you're not successful enough, you're not popular enough, nobody's gonna like you, you're boring. Why do you even open your mouth? Everything you say is stupid." The thing is, that gremlin is you. You're bullying yourself. And the weirdest thing about it is, I realized that I never bully anyone else the way I bully myself. I was holding myself to a standard that nobody else was holding me to, and that I would never dare hold anyone else to. I was only being an asshole to myself, and I didn't.
That is, I'm going to guess, low self esteem because of having invalidation back in her life. And also, again, like I said before, my imposter syndrome video, that might be a little bit of that too. Uh, the imposter syndrome video I did is actually uh, just me going over the notes that I took during a mental health seminar hosted by somebody I follow on Instagram. And I decided to make a video of it, and I gave her credit for it in the description of the video. Oh yeah, low self-esteem. I've always had that too. I still have it. Why else do you think you guys see an icon instead of my face? All right.
Didn't understand why I couldn't extend the same level of compassion towards myself. It just sounded reasonable. When you're depressed, those lies make sense. It doesn't seem so ridiculous. When you're not able to challenge it, it wears you down quietly. So when I finally tuned into that voice, then I started to challenge it. Every day I started recording things that I liked about the day, one thing. And then when I felt really down, like cripplingly down, and I didn't think I could handle it anymore, and that gremlin was like, see, the world shit, and you should feel shit. I would turn and look at my diary of like planning and stuff, and look at the bottom of each day and go, every single day a cool thing happened. My days are way more awesome than I remember them because of you. And that's you lying, and I love my life, and look at all this cool shit I nearly forgot because of you. And that's how I started to stand up to my gremlin. Another part of the whole problem was I was making myself feel guilty for ever feeling bad in the first place. I don't know if you've ever related to this. I used to tell myself, oh, there are people who have it worse than me. I can't feel sad about the silly, trivial thing that I'm experiencing.
When you're feeling down, never guilt yourself out of looking at your problems. Never
Yes. Don't ever compare your problems to somebody else's. Don't ever invalidate how you're feeling compared to what somebody else is feeling. Don't ever let somebody else do it to you either. You might be feeling down and depressed, like everything happening right now in quarantine. Are there people that are having it worse than what I am even? Yeah, I'm sure there are. But I'm not going to compare myself to that. And I won't let anybody else do that either. Because it's, even though this is going to sound heartless to say, it's irrelevant to my own problems. Okay? Uh one of the sayings that I made up as a way to help me understand how to keep a good balance is everybody knows uh, how you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah, well, you can't pick it up if it's too heavy either. So you got to have a balance. And only you got to have a balance. You have to have boundaries. And that's the things that you have to set for yourself. That's what you have to work towards.
tell yourself, I can't complain because I'm a fish. Because I can't complain because some people have it worse off than me. Don't do that to yourself because there are always people worse off than you.
When I was a kid, they'd say, finish your plate. Don't you know there are starving kids in Africa? And they would love to have as much food as you. But the thing is, if I ate that food when I wasn't hungry, it's just going to make me a little bit fatter. And it's not going to save any kids in Africa.
They are far away. They're never going to know you even thought about it. It's not helping them. It's not helping you.
By this weird illogical token that, if anyone has it worse than you, you're not allowed to feel bad. That's so stupid because then the only person in the world who's allowed to feel bad is the person dying the most horribly right now. And everyone else just has to be happy that they're not them.
The best thing to do when you're feeling sad is to look at the cause of the problem and see if you can turn it around and apply your energy to turning it into something better in your life rather than telling yourself you're not allowed to have feelings, because that's unhealthy and it keeps you turning away from the elephant in the room. And for as long as you face away from your problems, you'll never be able to fix them.
If you need to cry,
Turning away from the elephant in the room. That is exactly what my therapist tells me all the time. I need to save this video for him to see it because he would love to watch it. I'm telling you.
cry, cry. If you need to feel sad, feel sad. All I'd recommend you do, rather than put yourself down about it, is take care of yourself. Know what's coming and be your carer. Go eat something nice, do something comforting, watch something calming. Take some time for you to be with that feeling and to let it pass. There are people in chat who are like, yeah, that's all wishy-washy, that's great and all, but that's just a concept, and it's not going to pay my bills, and it's not going to get my boss off my back, it's not going to make the girl I'm in love with fall in love with me that doesn't actually like me or know that I even fucking exist. It's not going to make me pretty, it's not going to make me rich, it's not going to make anything better. Those concepts are just words. And I've got to say, if that's what you need in order for you to be happy, you're never going to be fucking happy. I'm sorry, but the happy people don't need things to go their way all the time and to just get everything they want in life before they can be happy. That's what brats need, you know? Brats aren't happy.
Can I just say, I love her. That's what brats are. I love that analogy. She is amazing. And I thought I was going to come off as harsh. That's perfect. That's poetic right there. Only brats are needy. This chick is Sweet Anita. You can find her on Twitch. I think hi. Let's see, here's something I used to say when people couldn't understand how I could treat my children's problems as though they were as bad as mine. To them, their problems were worse than mine. Yes, that would be if I'm not mistaken. So you're basically saying that you treated your children's problems as though they were as bad as your own. Is that what I'm getting from what you're saying? Okay, I just wanted to make sure because sometimes I can misinterpret things as being different. But anyway, moving on. Yes, that is beautiful. I try to do that too, and I try to let other people know why I do that. It's because if you don't, then you're invalidating what they're feeling. And as someone who was invalidated as a child my whole entire life, this falls back on the whole oh, they're just trying to get, they're just doing this for, they're just acting out for attention. For example, that's being invalidating. Uh, Validating a child's emotion, especially when they're young, and even more so when they get older, will help them learn about their emotions. And then they won't be needing therapy as much as, say, someone like me who has issues with expressing their emotions the right way. All right. Thank you for that, Jamie.
Happy. Nobody likes brats. When you're fixating on what you're not getting instead of everything that you presently are, you're shitting on yourself and you're shitting on your own life. Stop making all the good shit invisible. Actually fucking see it. Turn and look at all the good things going well in your life right now, because they are there. They're just hidden behind this depressive fog where you're preoccupied with the things you're not getting and you're torturing yourself. Okay, you're ruining your life. At the end of the day, when my life comes to an end and my flashbacks happen, I'm going to look back at all the beautiful moments I had and the connections I made, the people I got to meet and the moments I had with them. I'm not going to think back to the shit I bought or my opinions of like things I don't like, you know? I'm going to remember the people. I'm going to remember the beautiful moments I shared with them. People you spanked, hell yeah. I spanked a lot of people. positivity is a muscle. You have to flex it, you have to exercise it every day, and it will get stronger and stronger. The more it grows, the more positive you are, the more positive things happen to you.
And I will agree 100% with this too. That being positive, that positivity is like a muscle that you have to exercise, that you have to flex, and you have to work. You know how they say it takes more muscles to smile than it does to frown. There's some there, you know. There you go.
Behind all the physical stuff I was doing to manage my emotions and make them more positive, other things happened too. And one of them, one of them was dick. One of them was a fat fucking dick. Wow. Classic wow. But oddly, dick did not make my life better. That might surprise you, but like if you're depressed, dick is really not the answer. That does not have consistent results. You are the universe experiencing itself. You've been dead matter, you've been drifting rocks, you've been drifting gas and unconscious mass for billions of years. You get this one moment to enjoy life, and you're fixating on the things that aren't going right yet. I'm sorry, but life is never going to be perfect. The only way you're going to be happy is if you learn to be happy alongside life's challenges. And you know that therapist, the one that changed my life? She has a disability and she works from home. She opened up to me and she told me that she'd had a hard life too, and she'd been through some dark things too. And she used that as an excuse. She let those experiences be the tools she crafted something beautiful from. She allowed me to get out there and help other people and make them smile and really connect and enjoy life. And she did that from her living room, despite all the challenges she faced. When things get hard for me, I want to be like her. She showed me how to be happy, no matter what challenges come my way. And I gave her a piece of sea glass. It's this tiny little cod ball stopper. It's really rare, and it's a little ball. When you throw it in the sea and it's trash that you didn't want anymore, hundreds of years ago, it's supposed to smash and just turn into shards of glass and disappear. Yeah? But this little tiny bit didn't. It stayed perfect. It rolled around in the water. It faced every storm. It got smashed against rocks, but didn't break. Instead, it came out something beautiful and highly sought after. It became a jewel. It became better. All the wear and all the scuffs on the surface made it frosted and beautiful and turned it into sea glass, highly sought after sea glass. It should have been broken by everything it went through, and instead it came out something more beautiful. And it made me think of her. So I gave it to her and said, this is why I think of you when I look at this, and it's why I want you to have it. And I'm okay now, and I'm probably never going to see you again. And that's kind of weird that I'm happy that that's the case, because you're awesome. But yeah, you fixed me, and I'm going to go out in the world and do great things because of you. So I want you to look at this and know that this is why I think of you, and thank you. Here's a little tip, just in case, a little survival tip for those of you who have a gremlin, if you think that it might put you in a really serious situation, and I'm guessing you know what I mean. Then I would say wrap a £5 note or whatever currency you have, wrap a little bit of money around a card, have 2 numbers or 3 numbers on that card. 3 people who can help you when your depression gets too much. People who know you're depressed, know you might need help. Ask them first, be like, if this gets too dark for me, can you be someone I call? It might be in the middle of the night, it might be at stupid o'clock in the morning, it might be during the day, but can I call you if this gets too much? And whenever things get hard, go to a public place where you can't come to any harm. Go to a cafe. Go somewhere like that where you can't do anything. Call one of those numbers and have them come to you and help you. It's a really good survival tactic. Have it there in your wallet at all times, that emergency fiver that you don't touch, that emergency number you can call so that you are safe and that you have someone there. If you're someone who feels suicidal right now, I'm going to say, fuck, don't rush things. You will die at some point. It's going to happen. And it's going to happen sooner than you want it to. That's just an inevitability. This tiny little flash we get, don't rush the end of it. Every little bit of this experience, whether it's good or bad, is a privilege, and it's rare. So fucking rare. Life is the rarest thing in the universe. It's rarer than diamonds. We kill each other for diamonds, but there are asteroids made of diamonds. This is the only place we know of in the universe with life. It's this rare, beautiful thing, and it's us. It's the universe. You're the lens through which the universe sees itself. For a blink, and then it's gone. And every time you get to see some beauty in this world, you've done the most amazing and important thing ever. You've shown the universe how awesome it is. You've been a part of this weird collective mass experience, this beautiful thing. So I'm happy. I've got beautiful friends, adventures. I go traveling now. That's awesome. I used to be terrified of being alone again. I was terrified of being isolated in that box and stagnating, agoraphobic, and with no future, no education, no nothing. And now I'm not. I could go back in that box tomorrow and still be okay. You know, you don't read a book for the ending. If we've read it just for the conclusion, we just skip to the end chapter and that would be it. We need to read the highs, the lows, the adventure, the whole story in order to get something out of the book. And I feel like that's life. It's not about the conclusion. It's not about what you get out of it. It's about the journey. It's about what you get to experience along the way. And it wouldn't be amazing if it didn't have lows as well as highs. So yeah, I'm no longer looking back at the things that were hard or painful about my life and regretting them and feeling sad about them. I knew they had to happen. I knew they built the world I'm living in now, the life I'm living now. And I've been happy for 4 years. It was worth surviving those 13 years of misery for these past 4 years. I'd do it all again for this. It's been amazing.
The end of that is just so beautiful. How she talks about the sea glass and how it's went through all this stuff that was supposed to break it, but instead it turned into something beautiful. Uh, that's something that I tell people a lot too, that it's okay. Uh, it's okay if you feel like, if you're going through something hard. I would end up just she used the sea glass, for example. I prefer the phoenix. You know, the phoenix is beautiful and is always born back up from its ashes. So let's see. That's hard for me. I'm always skeptical of everything and negative about everything. Yeah, I have that problem too. I've gotten into the habit of oh, what is it? Always having a negative mindset, because then if something doesn't go right, I'm not surprised. And unfortunately, that's not a coping skill. It's not a coping mechanism. It's a survivor tactic. It's what survivors of abuse, for example, do. Um, and it doesn't even have to be physical abuse. It could be mental abuse, verbal abuse, things like that. Um, physical, sexual, mental, whatever. Any of those. Uh, it'll send you into survivor mode, and it's very hard to get out of that. And if you have been in it for as long as I have, uh, I'm 35. 35? I think I'm 35. Let me double check that. I might not be 35. Now it's going to be a debate on how old I am. God damn it. This always happens. And there's a reason why. Um, mentally, I am stuck at about between uh, 17 and 21 years old. Yeah, that's about my mentality all the time. So that's awkward. Okay, so I am 34. I'm going to be 35. There. Um, and that's because of the trauma that I've been through in my childhood. Uh, and yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm going to be 35. So I'm 34, and I have no self-awareness at all, no identity. I've only recently started to, as I call it, unravel from my cocoon, stepping out of the box, as Sweet Anita described it, and started to be more expressive of myself. There's always at least one positive thing you can find in any negative situation. Yeah, yeah. I know that now, but before I didn't believe that at all. Uh, Not once. Even the fact that, oh, I woke up this morning, that wasn't even a positive thing for me with the with the problems that I had or that I was in. So, yeah, I'm in a better state than I was before. I'm still working on getting better, and it's still debilitating at times. But back to the title of her video, how she cured her depression. I love that she is at a point in her life that she can say that and that she can feel that. Um, but because of being an influencer as she is, it's going to get called. It's going to get noticed, and people are going to think, oh well, if she was able to cure her depression, then mental health can, mental illnesses, mental disorders, all of that can get cured, and it's going to be a big mess. I can already promise you that. I'm already getting myself ready for May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, because that's when most of these people come out that go on the tirade that you can cure this, you can cure yourself. And it's like, no, there's a difference between being cured and just being able to manage and cope. Take asthma, for example. You know, I have my asthma is manageable right now. Uh, but come deep into spring, I know it's spring right now, but like when it gets to like May, for example, I already know my allergy is going to go haywire, and that's going to trigger my asthma. And I'm going to be finding myself on an inhaler again, taking 2 different prescriptions for allergy meds, and trying to get my asthma back under management. Okay, there's no cure for it. And that's the way I feel this, and I feel the same way about depression. There's no cure for it. There's just a better way to handle it. And for some people, it doesn't you don't need the medication. For others, you might be stuck on it for the rest of your life. And I know I'm going to be stuck on antidepressants for most of my life because I've been on it for over 20 years now. Oh, hell. I've been on different antidepressants since 99. Yeah, 21 years. I have been on different antidepressants for 21 years. So I know I'm going to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life. I'm just glad that I found one that works for me better than what the others did in the past. All right, I'm going to, this is at the hour mark. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. Thanks for keeping me company, guys, and listening to me talk. Jamie sent it, Lonely Banter. Um, I have a playlist that this video is actually inside of at the end, where I have done a couple of mental health awareness videos. Uh, I've been, yeah, I was going to touch on depression eventually, but I was also wanting to do one involving OCD, and but that one's a little bit harder for me because of how close to home it is. Because yeah, diagnosed with OCD here. um, and there's others, but when Sweet Anita put this video out, and after I had watched it, about the only complaint I had was just the title, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is the time to do that depression video, even though I was, it was a last minute decision thing. It's like, nope, it's time to do the depression video because I just the title is just what gets me. So, all right, well, I'm like I said, I'm done. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget, leave a like and all that funness. And um, anyone that, in the comment section after the video gets posted up, if anybody else has any other mental health topics that they might want to see me or hear me, because you won't really see me talk about on here, just leave them in the comments. Um, I am not a mental health professional, obviously, but I do want to talk about different mental health problems that are out there, uh, or even um, disorders that are uh, alienating people from society. Like autism, for example. Uh, Anita, Sweet Anita, there, she has Tourette syndrome, and she was faced with a lot of hate for one of her tics that happened a few months ago. Uh, and while I know that Tourette's, for example, is more of a neurological problem and not considered something that a psychiatrist, it's neurological, therefore you have a neurologist. It is not psychological, therefore you do not have a psychiatrist. That's what I mean. Uh, but I still put it in with the mental health awareness playlist just because you can have mental health problems with that disorder. So all right, I'm done. I promise this time. Okay. Thanks guys. Hey.